The fire crackled inside the old log cabin, its flickering light dancing across the stone walls and casting long shadows behind them. She stood in front of him, trembling, her hands trembling as she slowly unbuttoned her blouse, voice barely above a whisper. "I took it off, please," she said, her eyes full of desperation, not lust, not seduction, but something far more terrifying. Fear. The rancher froze. His name was Cole, and he'd seen storms, wolves, and broken men. But he had never seen a woman look at him like that, pleading, cornered, as if the world had already turned its back on her. Her blouse hung loose, revealing bruises that didn't belong there, skin marred with fingerprints that hadn't come from kindness. Cole's jaw clenched. Just hours ago he had found her collapsed outside his barn, rain-soaked and shivering, one boot missing, blood on her lip. He hadn't asked questions. He'd carried her inside, stoked the fire, and made her tea with the calm patience only a man who'd lived in silence for too long could manage. But now she was standing there like she owed him something. Like surviving came with a cost. He looked away, jaw tight, heart pounding with fury he hadn't felt in years. "You don't have to do that," he said finally, his voice thick. "Put it back on." His words made her flinch, as if kindness hurt more than cruelty. She blinked, slowly buttoning her shirt again with shaking fingers, lips trembling. "He said if anyone helped me, I'd have to pay. No one gives something for nothing." Cole stepped back, breath catching in his chest like a stuck gate in winter. Her voice didn't shake from cold, it shook from history. Someone had carved that lesson into her soul with years of threats and fists. He turned toward the fire, letting the heat hit his face as his hands curled into fists at his sides. "I don't want anything from you," he said. "Not food, not favors, not flesh. Just sit. Rest." She didn't move. Her eyes scanned the room like a hunted doe. "He's going to come looking. He always finds me." Her voice broke, and with it, the mask she'd been holding cracked. The weight of all she had been running from settled in the room like ash. "If he finds me here, he'll hurt you too." Cole turned slowly. His voice was quiet but steady now. "Let him try." The woman finally sank onto the edge of the wooden bench near the fire, arms wrapped tightly around herself. The warmth began to color her cheeks, but her eyes still darted toward the door every time the wind howled. She told him her name was Clara, that she'd run before, that this time she wasn't going back. And halfway through her story, of fists hidden behind charm, of promises that turned to threats, of nights she'd pretended to be asleep to survive, something shifted in Cole's eyes. Not pity, recognition, because once, long ago, he had known that kind of monster too. His father had been a man of land and anger, who'd used silence like a whip and fists like punctuation. Cole had left home young and never returned. He built his own fences, broke his own horses, and swore he'd never raise his voice or his hand the way his old man had. But staring at Clara now, he realized the past had a way of finding its echoes. The next morning, the sun rose pink over the hills, and Clara stood at the window watching. She hadn't slept. Neither had Cole. He was in the barn when he heard it, the unmistakable crunch of hooves on gravel. A horse. 2. Maybe more. Clara ran out to him, eyes wide with terror. "It's him," she said, her voice barely audible. Cole didn't hesitate. He handed her a saddlebag. "Back door leads to the woods. Stay low. Don't stop." She froze. "What about you?" He looked at her, eyes calm. "Let me deal with it." And then he turned, stepping into the rising dust of approaching riders. A man in a long black coat, eyes cold as river ice, sat tall in the saddle. "You got something of mine," he called. Cole didn't flinch. "Don't see your brand on anyone in my house." The man laughed, a hard, ugly sound. "She's mine. Took something that don't belong to her, and I'm here to collect." Cole's hand went to the axe beside the woodpile. "You walk onto this land, you'd better not plan on walking off." The standoff lasted a breath, then another. And then a shot rang out. But it wasn't Cole who fell. From the tree line, Clara emerged, shaking, the rifle in her hand still smoking. She'd never shot a gun before, but today she did. The man's horse reared as he tumbled to the ground, clutching his arm and cursing. The other rider turned and bolted. Cole ran to her, taking the rifle from her hands before she collapsed to her knees. "I couldn't run," she whispered. "Not again." He knelt beside her, pulling her into his chest. "You didn't," he said softly. "You stood. Before we end this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comment.